For you, or is it just all right? We're live. Go for it.
Do it. Hello and welcome to Movie Buffs, a show that covers the best action films of all time. I'm your host, Cisco, aka Misfit Minded. You can find me on Twitter at rampage_misfit and at my movie pages at misfit_minded on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And I'm your host, Shani B. You can find me on all the socials at Shani B Movies. Today we're talking about Fast X and Fast Five. Just quickly gonna go ahead and review Fast X because
Yeah, go
sadly
ahead.
Cisco, yeah, hasn't seen it yet, but we will
I wanted to.
absolutely
I
talk.
tried. I tried. Just
Yeah,
was a busy weekend slash turning grades in. Just finally did it. So yeah,
got to get that stuff done, right? Work
crazy.
comes
Yeah,
first. Someday all of this will come first, but for right now, we have to be grown-ups.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
But yeah,
really
what did you
quick.
think about
Well,
Fast X?
oh man, I loved it. It's
Nice.
perfect that we're gonna talk Fast 5 today because it is a
Yeah.
sequel to Fast 5 essentially, and it's
Mhm.
just basically about Reyes' son, played by Jason Momoa, coming back, playing the greatest villain I've seen in a long time on screen. Just you're gonna love it. You're gonna
Yeah.
love it. He is so fun, a total, like, insertion of a kind of juice we really needed
Is
in this
he
franchise.
I saw
Go
someone
ahead.
say best villain in the franchise. Do you agree with that? I'm
Yes.
trying because I'm trying to think who else we had. We had Statham, we had his brother,
Yeah, Luke
uh,
Evans,
we had
random.
Charlize as Cypher. Uh I'm,
Dude,
like, trying to
she's the
think. I'm
best.
like yeah, I know. I'm trying to think who else. John Cena? I don't know. But yeah, so, trumps all of them.
He trumps them all.
Okay.
He has a kind of charisma that you don't, like, get to see him play a lot of the time because he's always
Yeah.
being these muscly dudes, and he's
I
just a
heard he's having a lot
revelation.
of fun. Yeah, I heard he's having a lot of fun
Way too
with it.
much fun, and I'm so excited that what it means is that he'll be around more,
Yeah,
because, like, there's the ending is ambiguous, which is exciting.
of
I
course.
don't usually love ambiguous endings in movies like this, but
Mhm,
in this one in particular, I'm very interested in to see what they're doing with it. So, yeah,
mhm.
I loved it. You're gonna love it. Just he's so delightfully psychotic. It's everything I want when I go see a fast movie, so I was not disappointed. I don't think anybody
I also saw
will be.
someone say that that's, like, his Joker. Like, is that how he was playing it?
Absolutely. Absolutely his Joker, no doubt. Maybe even better than Joker just because like,
Oh,
he's
wow.
damn, I guess I can't say he's better. Nobody beats Heath Ledger, like,
You're
straight up.
right.
Nobody beats
Exactly, I was
him,
gonna
but
say, that's a high bar.
I guess, like, he's better than that just because there's no questions asked, like, he's a psychopath, but it's not quite real because it's in the Fast universe, so you can still have a little fun with
Okay,
it, and so I
another
guess that's where the distinction is for me.
I'm being the listener that hasn't seen the movie, so I like this actually, this how this has turned out. Another question for you, um, because this is a fast tradition of introducing family, like, later on that was never talked about in the previous movies. So, is there, like, an explanation of, like, where Momoa was at the during the events of Fast 5? That's all I wanna know.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So they did a really good job of basically saying he was there or whatever, you just didn't see him, and so they very nicely wove in
Okay.
the historical information that we need without it feeling too laborious, you know? It was like a nice little catch up like all these movies
Right.
pretty much have to do now because there's so much content we have to have going in. So they definitely handle that very well, and he just fits right into this franchise. He's having a fucking great time.
See, I think he was the way to go, like, so I didn't like the last one that much, the John Cena
Very
F9,
stale. Mhm.
and, yes, for that reason, like, he's not that great of an actor to be chewing up scenery in a villain way, and, like, and that was one of my problems with F9 was just, like, we've gone through 9 movies, not once has, Vin Diesel, Dom, ever mentioned this brother character.
Especially because
Ever.
his fucking sister's here the whole entire time.
And
How
his whole thing is family. So it's like, how the fuck? So that just like rubbed me the wrong way. It's just like they just don't even care at this point. And then on top of that, bringing Han back and like the explanation for that was just such horseshit. Like as much as I love Han, which we'll get to in Fast Five, that was just like you guys are just not even trying at this point. It's just like, oh yeah, the market research said that Han was a cool character, so we're just gonna bring him back. Like fuck it.
Yeah. It's very clear that number 9 really is just like a grab, because even Fate, I still
Yeah.
think had some
Faye
stuff,
had some
but
cool moments, yeah. That
9
was
really
that the
nosedive.
airplane, the baby airplane with Jason Statham? Yeah.
Yes, yes, the
That
baby
was
of the
fun. That
airplane,
was fun.
fucking stellar. All the cars flying out of the building that have been
Yeah,
hacked, like, there's still something there, but 9 was down, and you're right, like, John Cena is not a villain. That isn't
no.
really good for him, and he's back because you know how this franchise has basically turned all villains into family.
If anything, he's more of a comedic actor because he is so serious. You know what I mean? Because it's like
Yes,
you can just laugh at this guy that takes himself so serious, like in Peacemaker. I don't know if you've seen
yes,
that, but yeah,
y
he's great in
so
that.
good.
Yeah. But
It's
yeah,
true.
as the villain, not he doesn't have uh that switch that he can turn on and off, I think.
It's true, yeah, there is something unique about when you're playing a villain, and that has been the problem of this franchise, is that, like, Dom is the original
Definitely.
villain, and he isn't even a villain. So
He's
it's
he's not even a hero really. We could we could talk about it. I feel like
yeah,
this franchise doesn't have heroes or like I don't when I'm watching this, I'm really just looking for the set pieces because like I don't care about any of these characters. Like the family trope is so tired at this point. Like I'm like, okay, how many times we're gonna go back to this? Like
yeah.
I feel like his family changes every single fucking time. How am I supposed to care when there's like all this found family and lost family? They recast his
Yes.
son like every movie. They recast his son as a new kid actor. It's like, how am I supposed to care about any of these people?
It's just it's so superficial, for
Yeah,
sure, and especially in this one, like, I can't lie, Momoa's maybe the only piece of this that feels fresh because the whole time I was watching it, I felt so bad, but I was like, "Vin Diesel's
yeah,
insufferable." It's
he really is.
insufferable to listen to him play Dom anymore and, like, look for the
His
lowest
ego,
register of his voice. Yeah,
yeah,
it's just ugh, it's really gross. But thankfully, that's maybe the rescue of this expanded family that, like, there's many scenes we don't have to be anywhere near Dom. We can be in Europe with Ludacris and Tyrese, like, we can be
yeah,
with Michelle and Charlize doing their thing. And, like, John Cena found his role in this one the way that, like, he is what we want. So this movie
right.
was just fan service and a new jolt. And it did make me feel like, okay, I was starting to get to a point where these movies I couldn't remember how good 5 or 7 were because they were really starting to head downhill, and this one made me be like, "Yes, I'm okay with the fact that there are 30 movies in this franchise."
Yeah, there's definitely like a villain problem with it too, where like you're never scared that anyone's gonna die. That's one, and then
Nope.
also or even get injured. Like they go in full on head on car accidents, not one scratch
Nope, nope, that's
ever.
my favorite part of 9. Tyrese is literally like, "Hey, guys, I think we could be
Oh yeah,
invincible."
yeah, exactly. It's like at least they mentioned it because it's like what the fuck. Like there's no way you're walking away from some of this stuff.
Nope.
But then at the end too of every single movie, like so in the Marvel, it's like they kill off the villains. That's like the issue. Like
Yep,
they're really good villains, but then they kill them off.
yep.
Fast, it's like the villains aren't even that great, and then by the end of the movie, they're part of the family too. It's like you guys just accept anybody in this family. Everybody's invited to the cookout.
And it doesn't make any sense because this movie's
It's
supposed to be able to have access to the bad things the way Marvel doesn't. It makes more sense that in Marvel movies everybody's
Jason.
turning good,
Who
you
was it? I
know?
think it was Jason Statham is the one they revealed who was responsible for killing Han. And then guess what? He's family now.
Well, Spoiler alert, somehow for some reason, Statham is now angry with Han, just FYI.
Oh my
I'm not
god.
really sure how that happened, but they have it out in this story. There's, like, a couple pieces of this story that are not perfect. Like, obviously, just like you're saying, this franchise has its issues, but this movie was much more in line with what we want, and it was as good as 5. Like,
Yeah, let's
5
get to
is
5
the
because
pinnacle of
I
this
feel like I
franchise.
feel like I'm shitting on it a little, but 5
You're gonna love it.
definitely. I'm with you. Fast 5 is definitely, I think, the pinnacle where they found their stride a little bit. It's like it's kind of like they figured out the formula. It took them 5 times to get there, but they
To get it
finally were
right.
like, we're gonna make this partly a heist movie. There's gonna be like some gunplay, some like ridiculous action, but not too much where it takes you out of the story. Like I was like surprised at how comparatively to now grounded some of the stunts were because
Yes.
because it's like yeah they're jumping from trains and stuff but it's like a little bit like yeah you could jump from a train to something else like believably but like in 6 I think Dom jumps from like a freeway to another freeway and it's like
Yeah.
now we're just completely throwing off any physics, logic, or like when they jump the cars through the buildings, like the skyscrapers. It's like, God, guys, like, how do we get here? How do we
Yes.
get
Yes, it's the
here?
exact opposite of what we're talking about all the time, which is like CG is only good if you couldn't do it otherwise. And what made these movies so good in the beginning of the franchise is that they didn't use CG. Like they had these awesome cars, they did this awesome shit. And that's why 5 is so sick too. There's so many practical stunts. And like in the end, they're doing most of it for real, which I think is lost by 9. Like maybe nothing in 9 is real.
Yeah, there's like a generational divide, I feel like, too, because like, I don't know, it could just be nostalgia why I prefer the first half of the 10 movies to the back
Same.
half.
Hmm.
And but then I talk to like some younger people and it's the complete opposite. They can't get into the older ones. But I think it's what we're talking about where it's like, yeah, they're actually about cars and racing and like you actually can see the physical things and touch them. Like
Yes.
it goes a long way. Like they're like even Tokyo Drift, even though it doesn't have the family in it, I'm like, I'm cool with that. Like the I am never felt like I was part of this family. It's cool. Han, that was where Han was introduced. That character is so dope.
Yes.
In Tokyo Drift, like I don't know. And then Tyrese is when Too Fast, Too Furious, and Ludacris. Like you started to see some of the characters that they recruited for 5 in the
Yes.
first couple movies, and then oh yeah, the 2 brothers or whatever, I think they started
Yeah.
in 4. So like through the first 4 movies, they like are starting to introduce these like side characters, and then 5 they were like, let's make like the Avengers of like
That's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah, let's
Yep.
let's bring in all of the characters that you love except for Letty, but then they get the tease at the end where it's like, do you believe in ghosts? Which I was like,
Yes.
again, why can no one die in this universe? Fuck it.
Because we
It's
won't be able to
unbelievable.
make money off of them if they're dead. Like it's
uh
this franchise perfectly saw like what Marvel was doing and was like, we're gonna copy that mode. Cause I think that's why I like the top 4. Like they are their own
but
contained
Marvel,
stories
when
that are
they kill
coming
people, they're
together.
done, which is like I respect it. I'm like, just
Yeah.
I don't like yes,
I
Michael
wish
B.
they'd made better
Jordan and
choices
Black
about the villains.
Panther. I he got killed.
That one is a
No.
heartbreaker, but I like that they're able to bring him back since he can be in that, like, mid-world where you
Right, but,
go
like,
visit,
that's the
so
extent, it's not like, "Actually, the whole time she escaped the car explosion that you saw in the last movie." It's like, "What? We saw it! We saw her explode."
I hate to say it, but it almost feels like the
You know?
Fast franchise went from something pretty grounded and tactile and
It's a
into something
superhero.
pretty soap opera-y. Well, it's like a
Yes. Oh,
telenovela,
yeah,
hardcore.
soap opera for sure. Yeah, that's
They're
the
like,
thing. No
she
one can
washed up
die.
ashore, she has no memory." Like,
I
those
was
are
thinking
straight
of
out of soaps.
I was thinking of, what the monologue that, Annie Wilkes has in Misery about, like, seeing the serial.
Yes.
And the next week he was alive, and I'm like, that's not what fucking happened.
That's not fair. That's
Yeah,
right.
that's not fair.
It's
It's
too
true though.
good.
It's true. It's like, I mean, but again, if you love these characters and this story, I suppose like, you don't mind that. But I will
It's
tell
gotta
you,
be one of those things
yeah.
where you make a movie every couple of years with a small group, and then you make the Avengers because
Hmm.
they're running out of ways to bring the gang all back together every time. It gets weirder and
Well,
weirder for them to be like, "Now we're a super team from outside of the CIA, but we work with the government, I think?" Like, finding ways to keep them all together has gotten absurd when we should have just done, like, 2 and 3 where they're allowed to be elsewhere and, they talk to each other, they can pop up, but every movie is a gang back together movie, and that's kinda losing its
you
flair.
can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that. And like, I will say, like, so speaking of like deaths and stuff, this movie, so the first Fast and Furious movie, the ADD mechanic, I can't remember his name, Jesse, I think,
Mhm.
dies, and that's a huge, big
That's right,
moment.
it's
Like
big.
that's yeah, and in Fast Five, Vince dies, and that's another grounded and earned. I felt like moment, even though it's like, again, I have no connection really to these characters, but I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
this was a guy that kind of like double crossed them. He's kind of playing both sides. You're not sure about him, but by the end, he like earns the respect, and then like he dies in the process, and then he has a family backstory too. And I'm like, they can do this every time if they like really cared
Why
and
wouldn't
wrote
they?
this thing. Like, and I was thinking that too with like the Letty thing. I hated that they brought her back because Fast Five sets up what could potentially be a new Letty with this female cop, and I
Yes.
think like that whole chemistry that she had with Dom was pretty solid. I'm like,
Yeah. It's not
that could
easy
have
to have chemistry with Vin Diesel. Come
exactly.
on.
And I was like, so that could have been set up for the next few movies, but no, we need to bring Michelle
I mean,
Rodriguez back, and
they're going full Marvel on it because they also just had to like get rid of her. They killed her off, and in this newest installment, they're bringing someone from her family in. Because you're right, the
uh,
last earned death, like the last one that made sense, is Vince's because like he is a real
and think about
person,
that,
and
five in Fast
yes,
Five, and it's been 5 movies since then. No, like
yeah, nothing earned in this one
no
too.
death that really hits you in any meaningful way whatsoever.
No, thank you. That's exactly right.
It's wild. It's fucking wild. Yeah, I don't know. It was crazy to me just watching that, and like setting that, like they set up these seeds where it's like you could potentially see where they could go if they followed this template. Unfortunately, they had to keep going bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like you back yourself into a corner, and now we're ejecting cars into space with rockets. And
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you're running out of stuff to do because you won't
yeah.
take enough time to let this story evolve. So that's what I'm interested in seeing happen now is like Fast X it's sort of a new thing. I remember them saying they were only ever gonna make 11, which is a weird number. I don't really know what
Well,
that
it's supposed to
is.
be 10 was supposed to be a two-part like Hunger Games bullshit.
S
And then Vin Diesel on a red carpet just announced that it's going to be a three-part finale.
which I want because I want 3 movies with Momoa. I'll say that, but
These guys just the egos. I can't deal. And I will say too that like I love The Rock in Fast Five. This was another
yes.
piece where it's like you bring in somebody that has just as much ego and just as much like machismo as Vin Diesel,
Mhm.
and what a great villain. Like in this, there's like kind of, I mean, the drug dealer villain, whatever. Like
Yeah. Easy.
nameless, don't even remember his name. I just watched it last night. Uh
I
but
just call
but
him Bucho from Desperado because he's
but
his brother in Desperado.
Lucas Hobbs, you will put respect on this guy's name because he
Hell
comes
yeah.
in sweating his ass off every single scene, oiled up, sweating, dripping sweat,
Yes.
and like is like no games, all business every single scene. I'm like, this is like a kind of a new register for The Rock. Like he usually isn't this self serious. I feel like. in
No, he never
movies.
plays an egomaniac. Like,
Yeah,
that's not
it's
his thing.
and so it was so but he still has the trash talking, which fans of wrestling will like recognize,
Yes,
which was like, oh my god, like, like
the
just the
swag.
little lines where he's just like, I hope you guys packed your underwear, we're gonna be here for a while, like just dumb lines
Yes.
like that. I just like
Dude,
every time it just make me laugh.
he's a master of the catchphrase,
Yeah,
like, "Some bitch" is his thing in
some
this
bitch.
franchise. It's
Yeah.
so good.
And
And
he
it's
does say
true.
that. He does say that in the
Yeah.
movie, some bitch.
He understands the assignment in these movies, which I appreciate, but it's true. It's hard to watch the Vin Diesel of it all. So, going back to 5, feeling like, okay, this is when I still liked this stuff. This is before it was like getting really religious with the family stuff and having faith and Vin's cross like being a part of this story.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Well, and the
want
cross in
to
this one represented Letty more than Faith.
Mhm.
So that was
Exactly.
like kind of a
It still had a real
and
meaning.
his new boo, they connected on losing past spouses. So that was like a thing, whatever.
It's
Uh
true.
but
But no
that
one was like, say, like the stupid line about making Vince say grace, like, that's as much as
yeah.
we have to deal with the bullshit,
Right.
like, religious
And
stuff, you know?
every movie has like a cookout scene like that. So like that's kind of a staple
Yep.
uh that you like appreciate in these things. And like yeah, there's several like small unspoken things that they reference from previous movies that
Yeah.
it's like okay, they like had some mind to like so where for example, Vince's arms have scars on them from the first Fast and Furious movie when he's hanging off the truck and he's like
Yes,
got
the
his arm caught in
wires.
the thing. Yeah. And so it's like, yeah, if you wouldn't have noticed that if you hadn't seen the first Fast and Furious movie, but like they linger on it and they're like
Mhm.
paying off these like little details from the previous entries. And I just don't feel like they take that time anymore to like do that.
That's what I mean when
It's
I
it's
say
all
there's too
about
many
setting
people.
up it's all setting up new stuff. And it's like, well, there's like 10 movies of history already, like that you can refer back to.
Yeah,
Why
you
not?
did all
Like,
that work, you guys.
yeah. And like in characters that people genuinely love, but it's like I don't know what Tyrese does when like they're not part of the family. I
Yep.
know in this movie, I like how they give Luda, he's a mechanic and he's like smart and you know what I mean. So like that's his
Yeah.
that and like their little banter,
Computers or whatever.
him and Tyrese's little banter about that too. Like that's your dream, man, to have a day job. That's just
It's
like
true. Yeah,
that's like
like, they have a rapport, they have a something going
yeah.
on, and it's like, I want a movie that's all those guys, and I know that's weird, but, like, Vin could just hand it off for a movie. He barely works in them anymore.
And like and the two brothers too, where it's just like it gets kind of old after a while, but I do like where it's just like, man, you're so negative, man. All this negativity.
It's true, there's a great liveliness in number
Yeah.
5, and I appreciate that because it's like, we're about to go downhill, and we don't know that yet, so I like the like, being reminded of, like, why I'd still show up, and this one definitely does that.
And I'll say this Fast Five. So those two guys, that's Don Omar and Tego Calderon. They're two reggaeton rappers, artists. So I think just like in the tradition of bringing Ludacris and Tyrese, these musical acts, you bring in those
Mhm.
fans, and then most importantly, setting it in Brazil,
Yes.
and making this an international franchise, I think was like the smartest decision they could have made. So they're bringing in international artists, but then making the setting international too. And these movies kill like internationally, like every
Yes.
single one. So even
Hell
if
yeah.
like the Fast 10 is underperforming here in America, I have no doubt that they're gonna make their money
Oh, yeah.
overseas or whatever. Like, yeah, because it's
This
like
one's not gonna struggle.
there's no like nothing's gonna be lost in translation. You know what I mean? Like,
No.
these
It's
movies
like you
are as
said.
simple as it gets. It's
Yes.
all just stunt work and just like
Mhm.
one or two words that Vin Diesel says under his breath, and yeah, that's it.
Yes. Yeah, fully speaking in platitudes now. There are no scenes anymore. So it's all, you know what to expect, and you don't need anything else than that. But it's nice to be reminded that, like, when you return to this franchise as a whole, there's a couple tent poles in it. And I really do think that, like, five is the tent pole of this franchise, where,
Yeah,
like, at its best, that's what five shows. And I feel like 10's got a couple of smells of that or something. But man, five's my favorite. So I'm so
for
glad
sure.
we rewatched it.
And I'm reading this John Wick book. I'll recommend it to everybody. Do I have it here? I put it in it's another room. But
Mm.
it's called You Shouldn't Have Killed His Dog. It's really good. And it's I like literally the first 80 pages. It's like the first chapter I'm on still. And it's like all just a history of action movies. It's really dope how they that's like the introduction. But like they talk about the only reason that certain like the staple action movies that we love, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, all those franchises. The only reason they work is because they have the small like character beat moments that make you invested into what's happening. Otherwise, it's just like fist
Yeah.
bullshit. Like
Yeah.
so, I like in this movie, the moment where Vin Diesel and Paul Walker are just like hanging off the favela and they're just talking and he's like uh about fatherhood or whatever, and then Vin Diesel's again,
Yes.
you can't understand him really, but he's trying to do some dramatic where he's like, I remember everything about my father.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, "He's a great man. I live it up to him, man."
And then Paul
Ugh.
Walker's like, I never knew him, man. I don't even know what he looks like. And then he's like, you're not him or whatever. But it's
Oh,
like,
man.
okay, that's the bro bonding that you need in these movies to where it's like, okay, now I want Paul Walker to make it out because this dude's about to be a dad. And
Yes.
that if we're going into the questions and plot holes thing, what the hell was Mia doing in all these missions and she's pregnant, bro?
Dude,
Because
yes. Come
I'm like,
on.
this girl is out of her damn mind. Like, it's like in the first hour of the movie, she is on all the missions, doing missions with them. I'm like,
Yes.
bro, like, you
Yeah,
cannot be
high
jumping off
stress situation.
rooftops and trains if you're pregnant. You know this.
No. No, the stress is not gonna be good for it. And
And just
also,
physical danger. Like, bro, you're gonna
yes.
lose the baby. I was so stressed. I was so stressed. Like, I forgot that she was this part. And like, they do her dirty in some of the sequels. I'll say that, where like
They
she gets
do.
sidelined. So
Mhm.
in that respect, I like that she has something to do here. But come on, you pregnant, dude? Like, no,
They don't take anything seriously in real time. Like,
they're
everything
superheroes.
matters
They're all
once the
superheroes.
mission is over. Yeah, exactly. They
But then,
are
like, it's
superheroes in
weird
their
though
own
because in the
minds.
second half, it's almost like they realize, like, oh yeah, she's pregnant. We probably shouldn't
Let's
have
have her
her
stay
on.
back.
Yeah, let's have her be the eyes and ears for everybody.
It's true. And also, yeah, like, just the weird way they're trying to transition and expand this cast out, but then also, like, not let anyone leave. Because I want her to be there for sure, but it's so awkward now that P-Dub is not around IRL anymore. Like, the fact that Paul Walker can't return to these movies makes it super awkward that she still comes to these movies, or that she is still, like, a huge part of the story and he's not, and they have kids. Like, it's just in Fast 10, the best shit ever is the fact that, like, no one says anything about Brian, and there's just, like, a plate set where Brian's supposed to sit,
Right.
but, like,
They did. I
that's
think they
it.
did it in the last one too. I want to
It's
say,
so random and
yeah,
awkward.
it's yeah. I mean, Paul. I think losing Paul Walker was definitely he's like the closest thing to have to like a heart or soul of these movies, or like a lead man, I guess,
Yeah,
because like Vin Diesel is too incoherent and too like just like stiff
dude,
to where there's nothing there. It's like I
it's
am
really hard.
he could basically be saying I am Groot for all I care. Like that's that's
Yeah,
that's basically what you get like and it's like you
it's
watch the
true.
first one and he has the whole monologue, where he's talking about like, I live my life quarter mile at a time, and it's like, where is this? I
Yeah,
like this
where's
was
that
the
guy?
this was the charismatic Vin that I remember. It's
He
like,
now he just sort of looks like an aging muscle car guy who doesn't really look good in these tanks, but they are a staple of this franchise too. Like, he has to always be in the tanks. And yeah, I feel like
yeah,
at least in five, it still felt like he was wearing that character and it was somewhat authentic.
Mhm.
But it's true, like, even in 5, I'm sort of already getting excited for, like, who else is there and what else
Right.
we're doing, and
The team, Gal Gadot, and
exactly.
yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
and I'll say my other. I mean, you could poke holes in all these movies, really. So
Oh,
that's
a million.
that's not how I watch these movies. But the one that made me genuinely laugh last night was when it was like almost it was ridiculous in any other movie they do this, but they took it a step further. It's ridiculous where The Rock was like they're looking at the stoplight footage of all of them
Mhm.
driving in the car, and the guy's like, and he's like, oh, it's too blurry. He's like, just enhance it, and then they like zoom in, right? And the picture gets clear. That's not how photos work, by the way,
No, it
or
isn't.
videos work. And
Nope.
then, but all movies do that. A lot of movies do that though. But then, this was the crazy part. They're all wearing masks, and they're like, "Oh shit, boss, they're wearing masks." And he's like, "Run it through the database anyway." And then it like scans their faces with the masks on and IDs every single member of the team. I was like, "What technology,
Yeah, I mean, their grip on technology and how it should
bro?"
work and how it should be a part of this universe is increasingly
Like,
delusional.
I didn't
So,
even mind the ludicrous, like the thing, the the handprint with the thong, like how that works.
yeah,
Like
come on.
that was just like a joke, like whatever. That's funny, but like, dude, that one like made me like enhance it. Oh, they're wearing
Yes.
masks though, boss. Run it through the database. See what we
Do it
got.
anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll still find them. We're still gonna find these guys.
And then
Yeah,
like
it's
all their
true.
pictures pop up, like all their passports. I'm like, what? Not even just like the two guys in the front, like every single member of the team is busted now. Like, oh
Exactly.
god.
Yeah, they're constantly making up their own rules and then kind of disregarding them, and yeah, in the name of action set pieces, and at least in this one, they're good because I feel like this one having still doing and being able to have the streets is huge, and I feel like that's why they went to Brazil so that they could, like,
Oh, I
really
mean
have these
those.
amazing sweeping chases
I was just
again.
gonna those helicopter shots with the Jesus statue. I
Stunning.
mean, come on,
Mhm.
it really puts you in the mood. Yeah, that's all I had for like just things that were I thought were ridiculous. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, Mia jumping off the rooftop pregnant. I was like, come on, man.
When when I think my favorite is when Vin Diesel's, like, running from The Rock, and The Rock's, like, looking up and kinda hearing him, and he jumps out the
Oh
window, and
yeah,
then
yeah.
The
At the
Rock
same
does.
time. At the
The
same time.
shot of Vin Diesel, like, checking back
Yeah,
while he
it's a
jumps,
slow mo. It's a slow mo. I noticed that too this time.
it's
Vin's
just more
like, what
evidence
the
that, like,
hell?
yeah, yeah, Dom doesn't miss anything. He knows this guy's on his tail. Just, the things about this movie that are ridiculous are mostly tied to Dom, just because Dom's character is increasingly paper thin, and in this one in particular, like, I think missing Letty is something I totally forgot about, but I guess, like, I'm okay with because it's still really action packed and it's still
Mhm.
so good. It's just so weird to know that, like, this one's so good and Michelle Rodriguez is not there.
Yeah, and it's like I think they give her some cool things to do in the later ones. I will say, like she's the one that fights Ronda Rousey. I think in 7.
Yeah, she
I
does.
mean that's cool. And like I don't know, like her and Vin Diesel though, like the chemistry just never ever registered for me.
Dude,
Like,
it's so bad in 10. It's so bad in
and
10.
I say this as like someone who was like a kid, seeing the first movie, and like I'm like, are they like related? Like I never knew. I was like, it never
It's
clicked
not
for
there.
me. Yeah, it's just not there. Um, and then yeah, we could talk about like some of the filmmaking aspects of this. This one, I think, again, what made this one work maybe where the others ones didn't. You got Justin Lin directing this one,
Mhm.
who did Fast and Furious 4. He also went on to do 6 and then 9, which we just shit on previously, but
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like did he do all 5 through 9? Like, I feel like he was in charge of this franchise for a little while, but I know he didn't do 10. The guy who
he
did
did.
10
No,
is
he
like a
did.
French guy.
Yeah, he did 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7, 8 were different people, and then he came
Okay.
back for 9. And then he was supposed to do 10, I want to say, and he quit mid-production, probably
Wow.
because Vin Diesel. I mean, it's all speculation, but like creative differences. Who runs this franchise? We all know it's Vin.
It's gotta be
Uh,
Vin, yeah.
oh
I
yeah, yeah. So
mean,
look at I googled Justin Lin, and it's Hollywood Reporter. Justin Lin's Fast 10 exit behind clash with Vin Diesel. So
yeah,
guess
yep,
it's not
yep.
speculation.
I mean, the best thing about a new director is the guy that directed this movie. I watched another one of his movies to see if the action was still there, and I don't know if you saw The Brothers Grimsby from, like, maybe, like, 2011 or something, like, maybe
Is that with
somewhere around
Heath
this.
Ledger or some?
No, it's
That's
one it's a Sacha Baron Cohen movie, actually. I think it might have got
Brothers Grimm.
lost because it sounds
Oh,
like the
he
Heath
did
Ledger
that.
one. Yeah, he did it, and there are
Oh
several
wow.
jokes in this movie making fun of the Fast franchise. Like,
Oh
there's a
great.
part where Sacha Baron Cohen is like, "Scum is what keeps the Fast and the Furious franchise alive. The worst people in the world." It's too good that this dude is making this movie and then comes and, like, nails it. Because I think
Yeah.
Justin Lin does so good in 5, like, all the best pieces of his work have been accumulating up until then, and he shines in 5, but, having Vin as the other person, it's just so clear that, like, his vision is not something that feels predominant in the later films.
Yeah, and like I want to talk about because I'm running short on time here, but I do want to talk about like the major set pieces because this all comes in line with the filmmaking parts. But
Yes.
surprisingly, I think the set piece that uh I would have said before, like the end where they're dragging the tank is probably like the best.
Yeah. I mean,
Are
it's
are the safe.
so good. Yeah, through the streets,
Yeah,
cameras all over the place, catching that shit, like, real, legit.
yeah, crashing through buildings, running over cars, or using it to catapult into cars and motorcycles. Like it's
Hell
so
yeah.
crazy, but again, not as unbelievable as like flying through the air stuff. Where it's like that's where
Right.
I kind of like check out. Where it's like, come on. Where I think that was 9, where Vin Diesel jumps a car off a cliff and
He's good to
somehow
go.
catches it off of a thing that goes on the bottom of the car, and then like
Yes.
Spider-Man swings. Like what is happening? Like
It's true.
there's no basis in reality for that, but like you can kind of see, okay, there's a safe, and like 2 cars are probably not dragging that thing, but like because of the way that they're like speeding their cars and like using the NOS or whatever, they make it like believable. Where it's like, okay, yeah, maybe like with enough horsepower,
Yeah.
maybe they could generate enough force. But the one that I always forget about, maybe I confuse this with 4 or whatever, but like the
Mm,
beginning train sequence, I think might be my fave.
me too.
That one is so cool. Like, and again, what we're saying, like actually like on a train, it looks like jumping, and like just the motion of like when they're ready to go, the car gets pulled from the train
Yes.
onto like the car next to it, and then reverses off of it and is like driving with I'm like, whoever thought of that, you're a madman, and I love that.
And
That
that's
was so
exactly
cool.
it, right?
Yeah.
Like, we need those people and their visions to be in charge of this stuff because for an action movie to be successful, it can't just make the action star look cool. It has to be, like, visually telling this story, and that's something that really stuck out to me this time watching 5 was how visually the story was being told. Like,
Hmm.
Justin Lin is paying
Right.
attention to moving that safe through town and, like, showing you the weight of everything move, just like he's really showing you, like, this car
He
is
keeps
racing
you
up against the train to, like, pull these cars. Holy shit.
he keeps you in the dark in a lot of those like moments. So like where Vin calls an audible at the last second, like the plan has changed or whatever, doesn't tell
Mm.
you what the plan is, but like you're
Mm-mm.
just along for the ride. And then like him and Vin Diesel jumping off the cliff into the water. It's like, okay, I've seen that in movies too.
Yep.
Not as unbelievable as the stuff in
Um,
7, 8, 9, like
they're up
at
pretty
all.
high. Like,
They
I was like,
are,
"I
but
think they're dead if they make this
probably,
jump,"
but
but
at least
it
they're,
looks
like, not
cool
in
as
the
hell.
car, like, in the I feel like in the later ones, they're all doing this shit in cars, and it's like, you would be dead, you would be
Yeah, the
so
car would
fucking
kill you.
yes. Oh god, what was I gonna say now? I can't remember. I think
You're right,
okay,
though. The train
yeah,
is the best.
I love the train, it sets it off so good, and it's like that's like a mini heist in itself. They're stealing the car, they're stealing the chip, that sets everything into motion, you know?
That's it too, like, the back to basics of this being a heist franchise. Like, it's about thieves. It's about people who can steal things at high paces or whatever,
Yeah.
like driving fast. And I feel like 5 starting this way was huge because I feel
Mhm.
like later they like skip all the street racing. And this was sort of like,
It's
okay, if you
it
can't
bums
give
me
me a
out so
street
much.
race, yeah, if you can't open this film with a street race, open it with something like this, a kind of different race where they got to race against getting off of this train before the cops come and they have to race away from the people they're doing this job with because something's going sideways.
Yeah,
So it's got it all again.
they forget the street racing, and then that's why I like in this one too. There's a couple different, like they keep that element to where it's like, they're trying to figure out how to beat the camera, so they're like incorporating
Yeah.
the drifting from Tokyo Drift, also
Yep.
directed by Justin Lin. So again, calling back to the other entries. They don't go
Mhm.
with that plan, but then they steal the police cars and they have a race that time. And it's funny because Vin Diesel can never lose a race in
No.
these movies, but
Nope.
he'll let Paul Walker win because that's his gift to him as a father, as a new dad.
Oh my god, dude. He's so righteous. I cannot
He
with the
cannot lose a
righteousness of
fight.
his
He can't
character.
lose
No.
a race. I did like the line there where he's like, "My car's never seen a pair of headlights."
Oh my
that
god,
that
dude.
line, and then I think Tyrese is like, or Paul Walker's like, "Are you ready to today?" And he's like, "Let's go."
He's like,
The
"Oh
trash
god."
talking is so much. Is too much, dude.
It's true. I kind of love how for Brian, Vin Diesel becomes more of a teddy bear. It's like almost
Yeah,
like he has more romantic chemistry with Paul Walker
for
sometimes
sure,
because, like, in those
absolutely.
moments, he's like almost flirting with him when he's like, "You sure you can handle the
Yeah.
disappointment?" Like,
Yep. Exactly.
there is that chemistry is undeniable, which is why it's so awkward when he's trying to have chemistry with Michelle Rodriguez. Just out of
Yeah.
place. But it's true. He can't lose a race, he can't lose a fight, and he can't wear a complete shirt. Things he
Yeah,
won't do.
sleeveless. He even gets married in one of them with the same outfit in this one with the white jeans and the tank top.
Yeah. It's unbearable. It is, the cringe level. I
Just
can't believe
looking like a
young people watch it
potato.
at all.
I know. I just can't.
He does look like a potato.
There was to your gay point, like how did this get made? Just did an episode on the first Fast and Furious, and they were
Let's go.
talking, and they were reading off customer reviews, 5-star reviews, and somebody was like, if they weren't cowards and made Paul Walker and Vin Diesel make out, this would have been even better.
Yeah.
And it's like,
1,000,000%.
honestly,
I
they're
mean, the
flirting
fact
so much with this, with like, you know what I mean? They're already there. They're basically there.
I mean, they're just doing their due diligence of like dudes who hide behind cars and tattoos and
Yeah.
muscles and machismo. Like sometimes they're sneak gay under there.
Yep.
And I think, like, obviously, I feel a little bad because I know that Vin Diesel, I think, has faced this in real life. Like, people try to come for him and they try to say this stuff about him. And I certainly have no comment because I'm pretty sure he has a big family. Like, he's got kids and a wife and everything.
Yeah.
So, in this story, I think it would have been worse if they tried to be like, now be this guy. Right.
Yeah.
Instead, I think they just tried to show that like a dude who
He's
looks like
not like
him
this in
can
real life, by the
love.
way.
Well, that's the thing
If you
too.
watch his interviews, he is like more talkative and like
And
jokey.
sweet.
Yes, than
Yes.
this character. And it's
Yes.
like I want, and like you can see glimpses of that. Like we said in the first Fast and Furious and like
Mm-hmm.
in some of the earlier entries, like he lets that out a little bit, but like now it's just like all brick
Yeah, too
face.
firm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's no room for any of that. And it's like if we're talking about family, that's like not a great way to raise a family, to be honest.
No.
To be
No, it
completely
isn't.
emotionally unavailable. Like, no, that's
No,
not.
yeah, especially because they talk about being fathers. They talk about wanting to be good fathers. And I kind of love that Vin Diesel presents this way, but Brian always made Vin Diesel soft because he showed that like this guy presents, but he has a heart. He loves people. He wants to take care of people. And so I feel like the character of Dom was so powerful up until 5. That's why I almost wish they would have allowed Paul Walker to die legit. Because like him
And
just being in the
7 was
background,
the
but
perfect
then
ending. 7 should have been the
yeah.
last Fast and Furious movie. I will die on that hill. They
I
ended it so
mean,
perfectly, only to like bring it back, like and just
I'd have
yeah,
loved for them to stop at 7, for them to take, like, 5 years off, and for, like, Charlize to be in 9 so that we could still get her character because I actually really like her character in this franchise.
she's not
But
bad,
so
yeah.
that Yeah, they wouldn't have to, like, keep the IV drip going. We could just have a little space and allow their relationship to be what it is. Because I kinda love how, like, they're like little boys in 5, they're,
Mhm.
like, so excited about this thing they're gonna do. They're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
we're about to take this fool down, like, show him what's up," and they just gas each other up in a way where I think without Brian, like, Dom the character
Well,
of
they
Dom
do
is just not so sharp.
they do like the Ocean's 11 thing too, where it's like they tell you how impossible the mission is like a million times. Like to it, like
Yep,
even like joking about it to where it's like, oh man, like this safe is like we need a handprint for this and blah blah blah. We have a 10-second window.
yep,
It's in a police station. They keep like making it like worse and worse. And then
yes.
like Vin Diesel the whole time, cool as a cucumber, just like that's the plan. That was the
Yeah.
plan all along.
It's true. Yeah, this one is clever about keeping the twists and turns from us just the right amount of time and just in the right
And they
ways.
do the Ocean's 11 switcheroo also with the
Yes.
safes, which like you don't. I always look forward to that moment just because like even like when like I noticed like the garbage truck like because I've seen this
Mhm.
movie so many times now. I'm like
Yep.
trying to see if I can like see it in the cut. You can't really, but like
Nope.
yeah,
It's a good hide.
yeah.
But that's exactly it. Yeah, I think that sequence at the end is so, so good, but the train for
The
me is the
train
best
is just
sequence.
okay, cool. I'm glad we agree on that. And then I think I'll just my final thoughts. I love this movie. I think it's a highlight of the franchise as we talked about.
Mhm.
The Rock was a great addition. I hate that him and Vin Diesel are two alphas that couldn't hash it out, even though The Rock is coming back,
Mhm.
apparently. But
It's
like in this
true.
movie, he's like a rabid dog. Like he's like spitting all over the place. He's sweating all
Yes.
over the place, and he has business on his mind. Like when they try and like explain to him or whatever, like we didn't kill those guys. The Rock's like, I don't give a damn. You guys are just pieces of paper that came across my desk.
That's right. That's right. I'm just
I'm
here to
like,
do my
dude,
job.
yes. I'm
Mhm.
like this. Oh man, like The Rock is so badass in this with like the goatee,
He's the
also
best.
dripping wet. Like I
It's
can't
true.
emphasize enough. Not one single scene in this movie where he's dry.
Yes. I mean, I'm excited because I think I'm so grateful that Hobbs and Shaw came and worked so
Hobbs and
well.
Shaw is dope. I don't know why
Dude,
Fast. I think that's another divide. Fast fans, pure Fast fans, do not like Hobbs and Shaw, and I'm coming from it from I don't really care about the Fast franchise, and I love Hobbs and Shaw.
same, same. For me, it's gonna be
Like,
Hobbs and Shaw.
please do
Mhm.
more of that energy, like that unhinged. If you're
Yes.
going to go so ridiculous, have Idris Elba as like a half android fucking
Yes.
villain, please. Like, do something that out of control, crazy. And
Yep.
then The Rock and Jason Statham, that dynamic, they don't have that in the
Epic.
family really as
M
like that comedy,
I
that
feel like they
action prowess. Like
yep.
they
They
try, like Luda and Tyrese have some, and
mhm.
but I don't know. Like even like Ludacris now is like just their abilities. It's like I can't keep track. Like he was the smart guy in 5, and then since
Mhm.
then he's like now he's like a kung fu guy. Like he knows how to
He's also,
hand to
like,
hand combat and
moved
like
from, like, just being smart into, like, being a tech person, like, it's
yeah.
true. They're the characters of the Fast franchise don't have as much texture as The Rock is able to give to his character in a single film, and then bring to Hobbs and Shaw, and then I will give you one Easter egg that there is a post-credit scene involving The Rock at the end of
Yeah.
Fast. So
Deadline spoiled it
okay,
already.
I was
So
gonna say,
yeah.
it is the
Twitter was very
greatest.
upset. I really did not care. I was like, "What? I none of these people like
No,
they all come
you gotta
back. They
go.
all come back. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you
So
had to know that he was gonna come, but I will say it gave me hardcore goosebumps where I was like, "Fucking cannot wait for the next Hobbs& and Shaw. Let's go."
and then speaking of chemistry, almost forgot. I do
Oh,
got a shout out to Gal Gadot and Han in this movie. Fucking, they had better chemistry than any
it's
couple
true.
in these. And I just like Han is so cool, but then when he
Mhm.
gets around Gal Gadot, just crumbles, and I love that. Like any of us would, you know what I
So
mean? And like
authentic.
they're like little flirtatious, like because everyone has like to be like quippy in these movies, like you were a smoker, huh? Definitely a 2 packs a day guy, always fiddling around with your hands, something in your mouth, like just calling him out on everything. And like he just, and then she like walks away and he's like, I think I'm in love.
Yes!
It's
Again,
like,
a real
yeah,
scene, right? We
yeah.
never get them, but we got one there.
Yep. And then like, he's like, I think we need to do more recon and figure this out. And she's like, I got this. Just like
Yeah, don't worry.
that fabulous bikini, just looking great as
Yeah.
always.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's something I will say. The ladies of this franchise get to stand next to the men. So that's
yes.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and I again, they killed her off, and that was I guess that was an impactful death in a way. But I almost forgot about that, like that they do. I guess you know what I mean. It's
Also,
not.
you can't remember because I'm sure they'll be like, "Oh,
They'll bring
actually,
her
the
back.
movies were organized." Yeah, I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
be like,
She
"We changed
posted
the timeline
something.
again."
She posted some cryptic thing on Twitter. People were like, "Wait, like, aren't you dead?" Like, it was almost like she's saying, like, "I'm coming back."
Yeah, she's like, "I'm over here."
And everyone's like, "Yeah, you
All bets
died, bro." Like, but no one dies in these movies. Moral of the story. So
exactly. All bets are off here. Nothing is real until the next movie happens and they tell you if it's real. And so we'll see what it is. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad we did Fast 5
me
to
too.
just stay involved in this franchise cuz it's definitely my favorite.
Definitely, me too. All right, I
Yeah.
gotta go. I gotta run to this
Yes.
party. So thank you guys for listening. Let's get our plugs in. Let's get out of here. Remind the
For
people where to
sure.
find us. Shani
All
B.
right, follow the show at Action Movie Buffs on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, so you never miss a minute of the action. And me personally at Shani B Movies on all those platforms as well.
And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify and Apple. Please leave a positive review. 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars. Follow me on Twitter at rampage_misfit. And then at my movie pages at misfit_minded on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time for another edition of Movie Buffs.
Stay buff.
Brazil.
Yeah.